The Atlanta Hawks are one of the hottest teams in the league over the last 16 games, pushing them 3 spots up in the standings and making them one of the most fun teams to watch. And this sudden change happened to coincide with a major roster shakeup, making us all wonder if all the fun we're seeing now is due to the departure of none other than Trey Young. No other player on the roster has been thriving as much as Nickeil Alexander-Walker during this streak, and studying how he's getting his shots goes a long way towards explaining the difference between the Hawks offense now versus under Trae Young. The first thing I noticed was how much more player and ball movement they're getting recently, and the big key is getting Nickeil in the corner to start. Watch this beauty as it starts with a handoff to the left, but the passer then flows right into a pin down, forcing Alexander-Walker's man to chase from behind. The nice lead bounce pass then causes a rotation off the corner, and now we've got full scramble mode by the defense, with the Hawks hunting the best shot ruthlessly. Here he is in the left corner out of horns, and the point guard comes off a flare screen into a pin down for him. Notice how CJ McCollum takes both defenders with him into the lane. So now it's basically a 2-on-1 at the left wing. Remember, Alexander-Walker finishes equally well with either hand, and gliding to his left off both feet for a left-handed finish is something I groove with every player I work with. It can be as simple as a quick hitter out of that right corner, as there's almost nothing a defender can do to prevent a full-speed handoff. The slight advantage he gets here turns into a big advantage even with him taking an arc-shaped route, and the off-foot finish with the left helps to protect the ball from the big's possible contest. Without Trey Young on the floor, the Hawks have relied more heavily on their offensive sets to generate good looks, a coach's dream. This is another horn set that starts with a double drag across the top. But it's just a prelude to flex-like action with a back screen to down screen for CJ out top. Then watch how it flows into a double staggered pin down for NAW. He's so wide open when Bane fell asleep for a couple of steps that they needed to switch, but it's too late as he hops into the air and splashes the shot. Here's another left corner possession, and I'm not sure why defenders tend to be slow chasing him out of there, but if you add a screen to get in their way, Alexander-Walker is turning the corner, and check the trickiness with a little pass fake to the rolling big man that moves the defender out of the way to allow for an easy finger roll. Quin Snyder is taking advantage of his ability to drive well in either direction by mixing up which corner he'll start in, and then run a variety of team-oriented actions to spring him loose. I love this set, where they show a double drag screen out top only to have the point guard enter into the high post. This turns into zoom action, where he cuts off a screen into a handoff going downhill. However, the big can keep it, and this becomes zoom again as Nickeil gets a pin down into a handoff, and teams are struggling to catch up to him on these curls into the lane. Having a veteran like CJ McCollum out there helps a lot, as he knows as well as anyone how to read a defense, and as Alexander-Walker cuts from one quarter to the other, it lures his man to help one pass away to the ball. Perfect pass on time and on target earns CJ an assist and explains why Nickeil has been shooting out of his mind from 3. Another way they get Alexander-Walker attacking is off flare cuts. This acts like a high post split, but since neither cutter is open, the flow is immaculate as the handoff gets him immediately downhill into the paint for the awkward but effective floater. Here's another flare designed to catch his defender off guard, but if he's not open going towards the weak side, more great flow as he sets the pin down in the corner. In true triangle offense form, he comes back up after screening for a pitch, and then never stops moving as they hunt for the best shot possible, a wide open corner 3. And another example of supreme player movement as Alexander-Walker screens on ball, rolls, then breaks off the pin down to force a switch and a mismatch. With even more great flow, it moves into a triangle action, the low post split, and you guessed it, a flare screen that gets him more than enough room to rise up and splash down. I know Trey Young was a multi-time All-Star and franchise player for a lot of years, so pointing to him as being the problem could cause a lot of anxiety, which could make you reflexively reach for your vape pen. But I've got a better solution. Fume is a flavored air device designed to help you quit vaping and smoking by breaking that hand-to-mouth pattern. If a jump shooter has a hitch in their shot, you help them by replacing that movement with a better one, and that's exactly what Fume does by distracting those cravings for unhealthy habits. Watching Florida line up in the full court press here made me grab my Fume to fidget with, since I couldn't believe what a mistake this was. They also have smooth and light flavors like crisp mint and raspberry that won't overpower you. Right now, when you grab a Journey pack, you'll get a free Fume topper just for using my code BBALLBREAKDOWN. The Fume topper adds a soft, replaceable, chewable mouthpiece, giving your mouth something safe to chew when cravings hit. So, head over to tryfume.com and use code BBALLBREAKDOWN to get our free Fume topper with your Journey Pack. When examining how Trey Young operated in their offense, it's not to say they didn't have similar actions, like this high post split where he can come off that handoff, draw two defenders, and find the open shooter and earn an assist in the corner three. But the default setting for the half-court attack was a high pick and roll. Young routinely could get into the lane where his teammates would spot up and wait patiently for the ball to get kicked out for shots. But the biggest issue was turnovers. Throughout his career, Young has turned the ball over at a high rate, and a consistent problem I saw in the footage is with throwing passes to the roll man. Instead of the easier skip to the corner for a shot, he forces an offhand wraparound pass that gets stolen easily. And in that same category, a pattern emerged with lob passes to the roll man. He comes off this zoom action out of the corner like Alexander-Walker did, but again ignores the open skip to force the lob pass into three defenders. He's not particularly tall, so long defenders could cause problems for him getting the ball up and over his primary man, as this dying quail doesn't make it even halfway to the target before getting stolen. Here's another example of him getting smothered trying to force the ball into the roller, and the issue is, if they're going to run so much of this action for him, and his turnover rate in this action is so high, it started to make a lot more sense to replace him with players who won't turn it over nearly as much. And during this stretch of good play, they rank 13th in lowest turnover percentage. And that, no doubt, is translating to an impressive 120.5 offensive rating, which ranks 3rd during this 17-game span. And if you replace Young with CJ McCollum, who for his career has shot 2 percentage points better than Young, while also turning the ball over by an order of magnitude less than Trey, it's no wonder that the offense would simply work better. Interestingly, a big difference in how CJ attacks is in the mid-range, where he'll turn a lot of these shots into pull-up jump shots that he can hit at a high rate. It's a stark difference to Young, who would turn these into his patented floater. And while it's not to say one is better than the other, it is contributing to higher efficiencies. Add to that the playmaking of Jalen Johnson, which has gone under the radar for way too long and deserves your attention. And you've now replaced Young's offensive talents by committee, with higher field goal percentages and much better defense. The energy they're moving with makes the ball move quicker and sees the defense struggling to catch up on a consistent basis. And if you combine that by taking a big net negative player on defense out of the equation, it's no wonder you'd see a team go on a run where they'd win 15 of their last 17 games and put a little pressure on the Knicks for that 3rd spot in the East. By removing Trey from the lineup, they can now lean heavily on a starting group that can shut down teams. Their starting lineup leads all other 5-man groups in defensive rating by a healthy gap. And it's not hard to see why when you can send out Alexander-Walker, Okongwu, Jalen Johnson, and Defensive Player of the Year candidate Dyson Daniels. This is a young and fun team that is learning how to play with one another as each game goes by, led by a creative coach who's got them running gorgeous offense, stingy defense, and making me think they've got a great shot at beating the Pistons in a first-round series.